It is a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Kimberly Riggs Ruiz, Amy Poland, and Gabriel Ruiz. Kimberly, Gabriel, Amy have been a team since the inception of Kimberly Riggs Ruiz DDS Inc. in 2005. Not only has this dental triumvirate been responsible for making the small rural dental practice into a multi-million-dollar business, they are also responsible for founding Unident Software Company and developing Axex Dental Software, the dental practice management software for the 21st century. Axex Dental was the first dental software to offer full functionality on Windows, Macs, and Linux computers, as well as native operations on tablet devices such as the iPad. This creative group of self-described nerds gets their inspiration not only in the pursuit of all things tech, but from popular culture such as board games, comics, and even nature. So, Kimberly, tell me, when you got out of dental school, in 2005, the number one selling software was Henry Schein's Dentrix, or Patterson's EagleSoft. There was, I've been on, used to be CareStream. It's been owned by Kodak, many other companies. What made you look at all those three big software companies that have half the dental market and say, you know what, I'm going to start my own?
Well, I started using, my dad is a dentist. He just retired last year. I started using the software he used in his office, which was Diamond, I believe.
Diamond Dental was really
Then we changed to Open Dental. Throughout the first few years, I kept saying to Gabriel, why can't I use iPads? Why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it that way? Gabriel is the tech brain of the outfit. He's always looking for new technology. He's always, what can we do? How can we do this? So the three of us will get together and say, why can't we find a software that will let me chart on the tablet by the patient? Why can't I do this? Why can't I just hand the tablet to the patient so they can fill out their own paperwork? I ask questions like that, and Gabriel says, okay, well, let's find a way to do that. He did all the research, couldn't find anything.
Yeah, we looked into both Mac Practice at a time. In Mac Practice, we kind of have become Mac people. And whenever we looked at Mac Practice, it was way, way expensive. When the iPad came out, we were like, this is the future right here. And we initially tried running Open Dental on a tablet, remember? Using a virtual machine.
Things. Yes, we tried things.
Man, it was just terrible because it's not designed for a small screen. So we finally decided, why don't we just do this? Let's do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I always think is there's so many difficult integration issues with like different vendors, like digital X-ray companies, dental insurance, all that kind of stuff. So how much functionality, how long have you been using it, and how much functionality is there in integration? I mean, are you in the league? Are you as functional as the bigwigs?
Yes, we are actually more functional because when you take an X-ray, you can use 99% of all X-ray companies, I believe, right?
Correct, yes.
You take an X-ray, it goes automatically, with a few clicks, it goes right directly into our software, just as if you had imported it into our software. Then you can immediately bring it up on the iPad and show it chairside to the patient. It's not separate from the software. There's no closing this window and opening this one. It's all integrated. As far as insurance and all that goes, well, this is Amy's department, but it's all through the software. It's all one unit.
So Amy Poland, first tell me, are you Polish, since your last name is Poland? Did you marry a Polish man?
No, I'm single.
She was born in Poland.
I'm single.
You're single and your last name's Poland and you're really not Polish?
That is correct. My background, from what I have studied all the way back to the 1400s, is English, Irish, and German.
Huh.
So, there you go.
Wow. And the next time I meet a guy with his last name Irish, I'm going to have to ask him if he's really Irish. So Amy, does this, so answer your section then.
I mean, everything is in the software, from your appointment making, your charting, your progress notes, your sending of the insurance to the insurance companies through, we are partnered with Dental Exchange and Renaissance to send your e-claims and e-statements.
Mm-hmm. We also do the billing through them, and also the credit card. So you can take credit cards directly from the software.
So how long have you been using this in your office?
We're coming up on 4 years.
And you're calling it
AXEX.
right, but how do you pronounce it? Like Axex or
Axis.
Access.
AXEX? Oh, okay, Access.
Axex.
Yeah.
AxexDental.com. And
Yep.
and are you selling this now?
We absolutely are. We have several dental offices that are using it right now, that have been using it for over 3 years, and they're very happy with it. I mean, we get very few tech support calls, just because it was the way that we created it was so that you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it includes a server, so you don't have to worry about that. The server is Linux based, so you don't have to worry about it being, intruded upon. And you just plug it in to the wall, plug it into your network, and you're up and running.
So when someone buys it, it comes with the server, the whole system.
Yeah, the whole
Yes.
system.
And that is amazing. And how much is it? And how does that compare to the others?
It's about, the whole thing is about 3,000. What was it?
$3,000 for your upfront, and then $200 a month
Yeah.
to maintain.
3,000 upfront, 200 a month. And how would that compare to the others? Or are you not?
Less than most. Some will say they're free, but they're really not, because you might get the appointment part for free,
Correct.
but that's useless just to have appointments. Then they add on all the other costs. I had Dentrix, was it? They said it was free, but then I still had to pay $10,000, and then they
Correct.
gave me $10,000 in free something.
Yeah, so they basically, they would discount from the $10,000, they would discount those $10,000 over, I think it was 1 or 2 years from what you bought
Supplies
from
or something.
Correct.
Other companies are, what would you say the starting price is?
It's usually above $5,000,
Yeah.
closer to 10 on most of them.
Some are up in the 20s.
In part of the situation is that many of this software is broken up into modules. So, you buy a module here, you buy a module over there, and it adds up to a whole lot more than what they say
And they're all
it is.
separate units in the computer. So to make an appointment, you have to open up one program. To do billing, you have to open up another program, and it's very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So did you start a form on this under dental insurance? I mean, dental software?
Yeah, there's one of the categories in Dental Town for us.
Right. What is that under? It's under computers and software.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, then you go under practice management software. So it's under computers and software.
Mm-hmm.
There it is, Apex Dental, Axex Dental,
Access, yeah.
and
We
you
are
have
here, so that's okay.
and you just have one thread with it with 6
Yeah.
comments.
Yep.
So has that been good, Mark? And there's Amy D. Poland.
There
I'm
she
going
is.
to edit that and put not really Polish. Well, do you know why I had you on?
I'm curious.
Do you guys know what my pet peeve is on all practice management software and why I like no one?
What is your pet peeve? I want to hear this.
Kimberly, do you know?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
could name a huge list of my own pet peeves.
Okay, well here's the reason I had you on. I'm a dentist. I love that. I have an MBA business. I love that. I don't know what I love more, dentistry or business. I do all root canals, filling. I do all that stuff, but I don't lecture clinically because I think an endodontist should lecture on endo and an oral surgeon on removal and all that. But where I do have a core competency is in business. I mean, I have my MBA from Arizona State University. And the bottom line is dentists do not know their costs because none of these practice management softwares integrate with accounting. So I walk into a dental office and I say, how much did you get for that root canal? And it'll be a 50-year-old dentist. He'll say $1,000. I'm like, dude, 82% of all the dentists take PPOs. And 4 out of 5 of your root canals are from PPOs, and they're only paying you $600, $800. $600, $800. And he'll say to me, I'm thinking about getting another hygienist. I say, okay, well, your hygienist just did a cleaning exam, 2 bite wings. Did you make $12 after taxes, or did you lose $13? And he says, I don't know. No dentist No hospital. You go into any hospital in the world and they say, you know, it's that we have no idea what our costs are. All we know is if we do 3 big procedures that are 100,000, like a bypass is 100,000, a hip is 75,000, a mastectomy is 75,000. As long as the hospital does 3 big surgeries a day, they stay in the black. But if they're not, you know, rewiring your heart and cutting things off and doing all these surgeries, they're losing money. And you have QuickBooks Online in the cloud. And if you set up a deal where if it just set up a deal where it says, okay, my name is Dr. Howie and I have these number of operatories. I'm open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. There's 40 hours. Jan, you know, this assistant is assigned to this room, this hygienist, this room. Everybody clocks in on the software. Everybody clocks out. If all your, you know, you have all the insurance, has all the patient's name and billing, and you have Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and then all your accounts payable, receivable, all your bills and payroll is in Quicken. And that's why dentistry is upside down. And the first people that puts this on the deal where all the bills are paid on the same system. So let's say, Amy, are you the receptionist at the dental office?
I am not.
So you're not involved with the dental office?
And the business administrator.
But she
at the
did
dental
start.
practice.
She did start.
Okay, but imagine Amy. Imagine Amy is your receptionist and all your bills and everything's on the system. And I call up and say, yes, I need a filling. And she looks it up and it says, okay, it's an MOD filling. So she schedules an hour and the schedule turns red and says, okay, based on your cost, you're going to lose $48 on this procedure. So then she moves it down to 45 minutes. Now it says you break even. Now she moves it down to half an hour and now you're going to make $45. Nobody in dentistry knows their cost, and it is absolutely, we see this in dental offices. They sign up for 15 PPOs, and you go to the doctor and you say, okay, you charge $1,000 for a crown, and do you think after you do a crown that you put 4 Benjamins, 4 $100 bills in your pocket? No. Okay, well, you just signed up for this PPO that's doing crowns for $600. You don't even know if you're doing the crown for $500 or $650. They never know what they're doing. And many consultants will have to spend a week in an office to go out there and say, okay, you're losing money on 4 of these plans. We will shut down these plans, and at the end of the year, their revenue goes down, but their net income goes up because they had no idea they were doing stuff at a loss. Same thing with hygiene. I mean, you have to ask your hygienist, okay, if we're going to take this PPO fee, you can't do an hour cleaning. You have to do a 45-minute cleaning. So as a team, do we want to do this or not? That will make them decide we don't want to do it because your hygienist isn't a volunteer and shouldn't be. Or she may say, well, you know what? 80% of our patients are PPOs. Maybe we should do hygiene assisted. So now maybe I'll have the assistant seat the patient, take the bite wings. I'll go in there and she'll help me chart, and we'll run 2 chairs and they can make money. It'll also make dentists switch from composites to amalgams, because if this fee for a composite is so low and I've only got 30 minutes to do an occlusal, I ain't got time for a rubber dam and bonding agent, which is $1 million a barrel, when I could sit there and triturate a $3 spill of amalgam. And I don't care about voice activated charting. I don't care that I can change the font from black to purple to Arial 12 or New York. I don't care about any of that crap, because when a dentist is losing money, he is stressed out of his mind. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. I'm a lot older than you, Amy. I'm 50, Kimberly, I'm 53. I'm guessing you probably old enough to be my daughter. How old are you?
About to turn 40.
Are you really?
Yes.
Huh, so you must be eating and exercising better than me. And so the bottom line is, when I got out of school, all the dentists just had they took their costs, they added their profit, they sent their price to indemnity insurance, and they just told you what percent they'd pay. 100% cleaning exams and x-rays, 80% root canals and fillings, 50% crowns, partials, dentures. And then over the next decade, they said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're going to tell you the fee, and it was 40% lower. But the dentist still has this legacy model of cost plus profit equals price, when now it's been reversed to PPO price minus profit equals your budget. They're not on budget because they don't have a budget, because their practice management system is over here and their accounting is over here. And I guarantee you guys this. I have asked Dentrix to do this for years. I have flown down to, I've gone to EagleSoft in Effingham, Illinois. I've gone to Dentrix up in Provo, Utah. I have sent a gazillion emails to the Compu open dental people. I mean, I've begged for 30 years and everybody looks at me like I'm a freak. You do this, I will write columns about you. I will do everything I can. In fact, my dental office will be your damn beta site if you wanted to. Because here's the unfair advantage that corporate has, where even I have. I'm not corporate, but I do have scales of economy. I have 50 employees. So I have a full-time accounting person and an assistant. I mean, I have people that can pull all this stuff out of SoftEnd. So my people, my Stacy can pull stuff out of SoftEnd, put it in Excel, pull stuff out of Peachtree Accounting, put it on. I have people that can just crunch these numbers all the time. But there's 211,000 dentists in America living with a dental license, and they don't have that kind of scale of economy. Heartland has a scale. Pacific Dental, Steve Thorne, he has all this advanced software on his system. So when you're looking at a Pacific Dental operation or any of these big corporates, they have far, far more better decision making because they have advanced accounting with their software. And then the dentist is sitting in there thinking, well, I got one hygienist and she's booked up a month in advance. I think I should get me another one. Now I'll go in there and it'll take me 3 days to prove that by the time you get to 6 full-time hygienists, you'll be bankrupt. I mean, and that is the dilemma. Like when you start talking, I don't care that I can go chairside buy an iPad. I don't care if I can get it on my iPhone. I don't care about any of that crap. I want to know when I sit down. I mean, I meet any millionaire. I'll say, how are you a millionaire? They say, well, see this bottle of water? I'll make it for 50 cents. I sell it to 7-Eleven for $1. And they sell it for $1.50. I mean, they all, and then you go to a dentist. Oh, dude, you just did a DO composite on that lady. What did you make or lose? No idea. Every dental office around the world, no idea. You merge QuickBooks Online with the less important practice management, function, insurance, digital x-rays, all that stuff, you will strike gold. And I'll see to it. And if you're listening to this and you're currently using Dentrix, every time the Shine rep comes in, just rant this to them. If you're buying from EagleSoft, every time your Patterson rep, and by the way, Patterson just laid off a couple hundred people, so where's the value added? When they come in to take your order, sit there and say, you know what, when they ask you for their payment, you know what I wish every dentist would do? Every time Shine or Patterson wants their bill, say, you know what, just come in. Sit down on your own damn software and generate me a check. They'll say, oh, well, it doesn't generate a check. Exactly. That's why I'm running this office like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles. I'm somewhere between blind and dead because you won't give me this information. And then you hear them on a conference call to Wall Street talking about their stock. They're not talking about voice-activated perio. They're not talking about using an iPad. They're talking numbers and sales and revenue and net income and growth. Everything they say on their conference calls, they don't make available to their own customers. Yeah. And I've gone up to Minneapolis, St. Paul. The founder of that thing was Pete Frechette. I begged him, and they just laughed at me. They go, oh, you're an MBA. These dentists don't care. I've talked to Stan Bergman. Stan Bergman took me serious, and he hired an MBA lady, and she did a survey to her customers, and I almost cried when she got the results back. She goes, Howard, they don't care. I'm like, how could they not care? And then it reminds me of Henry Ford. Henry Ford, everybody said, they were trying to sell a car, and it was called a horseless carriage, and everybody in America loved their horse. They loved their horse. And here comes some idiot saying, hey, you want to have a horseless carriage? You're like, hey, I love my horse. Why don't you get off my farm? And Henry Ford realized that the market didn't understand, and he had to lead the market and quit calling it a horseless carriage, and he called it a Model T, and he said, your horse can only go 20 miles a day. This thing can go 20 miles an hour. And he wasn't competing with a horse. You love your horse. And he had to lead the market. And sometimes your customers just don't realize that a light bulb is better than a kerosene lamp. You have to show them. And if you guys show them and you start hooking these dental offices up, and these dental offices, okay, so now you have my schedule. So now you know all my costs because all my staff plugs in, all my bills are paid. You know my hourly costs. I'll give you an example. Southwest Airlines reduces all costs to an airplane seat. And they sit there and a seat mile. So let's say you don't show up, say they don't sell a seat. Well, they're still going to fly that seat a mile through the sky, and it's not going to be pulled by the tooth fairy riding a unicorn. There's going to be an airplane, pilots, flight attendants. You still have the same cost. So you have an operatory. You're a dental office. You got 3 operatories. Those 3 operatories have a hygienist, 2 assistants, 2 girls up front, and a dentist. And if that chair is empty or full, it's got cost. You reduce everything to an operatory hour cost. You say your chairs cost in hygiene, they cost this much with the hygienist, and your dental operatories or whatever, and you get them to an operatory hour cost. In my office, we run them all the same. Everybody in my office knows what it costs to have an operatory there, whether anybody's sitting in it or not. Now they know their costs. And then you merge that with the schedule. So then you send me a PPO plan. And here's what I want to do when I get a PPO plan. I want to enter all the fees. And then the computer would know, well, for an MOD, Howard schedules 30 minutes for an MOD. Here's his break-even point, his BAM number, bare-ass minimum. What's the break-even point? And it says, okay, for a 30-minute, his bare-ass minimum is $112. And then your capitation, your PPO is going to give me, say, $113. Now the dentist can say, do I want to do an MOD composite for $1? No, I'd rather mow lawns. I'd rather push a weed eater. I'd rather get a job at the IHOP. You know, I mean, so until they know their costs, so I love the fact that you're dental nerds and geeks. I love the fact that you want to do it on an iPad. I love the fact that you even know what Linux is, and I love all that. But I'm an MBA. I'm a millionaire. I gotta know my cost. And if you deliver that to dentistry, you'll be the only one who's ever done it, ever.
And it's going to be the only one because the big companies don't want you to know how much you're spending. We've had that challenge. We used to, who was it that they used to sell to us quite a bit? Was it Shine? Mm-hmm. The guy sat in your office thinking like, making you feel like you were breaking up with him when we said, no, we're not going to use you anymore. Because the other company that we were using it gives us a list of how much we spent and what things do we spend it in every quarter. Mm-hmm. And we said, can you give us that? No. What we suggest is that you increase your prices on your procedures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you're not setting your price. You were setting your prices in the 70s and 80s. Now 82% of dentists are getting the prices sent to them. Yeah. And it's 82% now, and it's going to be 92% by 20 another 5 years.
And you cannot always raise the prices. We're in rural Tennessee, you know. There's only so much of the market is going to take. And, you know, you can always do that. So it makes me, I understand what you're saying, because it makes me upset that they're not willing to say, look, this is how much you spend. This is how much we save you. This is how much, you know, they just want you, hey, just increase your prices and continue paying higher prices for us, you know? And so yeah, I don't think the big companies are ever going to do something like this.
So I have a question for you.
What want to know the name of my kitty cat?
What are the reasons you were given?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What are some of the reasons that you were given by these other companies that they are not incorporating accounting into their software?
I think it's a Henry Ford example. I mean, Henry Schein hired this lady. She's an MBA. She came down to Dental Town, and she did a survey. And I mean, I don't remember the exact results, but what the feature I wanted to know your costs wasn't even on the radar. They were saying things like, you know, change the font, change the color. And then when I went to the Dentrix, they invited me up to their user-based Dentrix thought leader. I don't know what the hell it was, but the guy starts off with, now, when we go into a dental office, you know, 80% of the features have never been used. Mm-hmm. So all they do is they get all these individual dentists and hygienists saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. There's no leadership. And the point is this. When I sit down in a dental office and I bring in a new person, There's 14 million bells and whistles on Dentrix and Eaglesoft, and it overwhelms them, and they close down. When you hire someone to work at Hyatt, there's just 6 things they ask to check you in. There's 6 things they ask to check you out. At Hertz Rent-A-Car, there's only, I mean, they can hire someone for minimum wage, and they can check me in and check me out. And on these dental softwares, there's no feature to sit there and say, okay, these 80% of the features I don't use in my office, I'm going to get rid of all that shit. I want Amy to sit down and say, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then check out 1, 2. I don't want her to look at a computer with 40,000 windows to open and she's overwhelmed. There's no leadership. And here's another thing. You have people, the number 1 dental consultant in America by any way you measure right now today would have to be Sandy Perdue. And when you go down there and listen to Sandy Perdue, she has to teach you to get out paper and pencils to track all the business stuff because it's not in a software. If I owned Dentrix, I would sit there and I'd go to all the consultants. I'd say, okay, well, we're going to have the Sandy Perdue system. We're going to, all that stuff she's teaching, we're going to automate that for her. She can teach her stuff and show it on our system and turn off all the other stuff. And if there was another consultant out there, you know, this or that, but you need a dentist MBA programmer to sit there and say, here's the business of dentistry 101. And if you want to turn on other features, knock yourself out. But here's my litmus test. I'll go to any dentist and say, okay, 2014, last year, what was the, what was your collection? What was your profit by procedure? What is your margin on a root canal, a filling, a crown, a cleaning, a hygienist? What was your return on equity? What was your return? They know nothing. And then they'll say, well, you know, I went to a Gordon Christian seminar and I found out that gold won't bond to Panavia unless I tin plate the gold, forming a tin oxide, and then the tin oxide will make love to the Panavia and you'll get 28. And I'm like, is that your problem, dude? Are all your crowns falling off? And they'll say, well, the wear rate of helium molar is 11 microns a year, and the wear rate of Tetrix RAM is 14 microns. Is that your problem, dude? You put in fillings, they all wear down, and all your crowns fall. I mean, everything they know, I don't even see the relevance of it in my office. I mean, my problem with composites is that they all wear down, fall out. My problem with crown and bridges is the crowns all fall. My problem is every single one of my friends does not have any idea if they're profitable or not.
How to run their business.
Yeah, how to run their business.
Which is so basic. And I mean, that's the reason why we've come up with $1 million practice, over $1 million practice right here in rural Tennessee, because we have looked at every detail. You know, are we making a profit on this? There were some things that, dentures, that we looked, we added all up, and we said, we're not making a profit on this at all. It is such a pain, you know. And I remember her dad saying, "Well, no, that's your meat and potatoes. You know, how are you not going to look? We turn a profit just fine. We see what gives us the biggest profit. We promote those things, and we cut away parts of those."
How's your business doing? The dental office side of it. Are you profitable?
Oh yes, very profitable.
Yeah, well, let's turn on the dentist to your profitability. A lot of them have a big heart. And they'll say, you know what, I want to start taking Medicare. I want to start treating the poor. But what they don't realize is, okay, but you'll go bankrupt. If that's all you do, you'll go bankrupt if your overhead is a 1970 style office. You know, maybe if you're doing Medicare, maybe you got to switch to amalgam over composite. Maybe you can't have hour cleanings. Maybe they're only 30. I don't care what you do. Just be transparent of what you're doing so you'll make better decisions. And then I'll tell you the other side of that coin. The other side of that coin is the dentist will say, okay, I just spent $60,000 on this company and they did a year-long marketing campaign. I'm like, great. Okay, so tell me, so in the first 6 months of 2016, how many more incoming calls did you have versus 2015? Oh, I have no idea. Well, then how do you know it worked? Oh, I got a gut feeling. Your guts are filled with shit. How do you know what a big fat gut filled with fecal matter knows about? And then we have 2 receptionists. And one receptionist answers the phone and they say, how much is a crown? And you say $1,000. Okay, thank you very much. They hang up. The other receptionist say, how much is a crown? Well, you know, it depends. There's all kinds of crowns. Why don't you come down and we have a room. Why don't you come down Doctor will look at your tooth, tell you if you're going to have like an all tooth colored crown or a gold crown or a porcelain metal crown or whatever. So the deal is they don't know the close ratio. Some of these dental offices, the average dental office takes 4.5 calls for every 4.5 new numbers calling into their office the first time to get one butt in the seat. And your $1 million practices are 1 out of 2. And there's no tracking of that. When they call, I'd say, oh, what is your name? Kimberly Riggs Ruiz. And you're trying to find it. That incoming call should go right into your system. The call rings. I see your picture. There's Kimberly Ruiz. How may I help you? But then another call comes in. And I'm, I have a relationship with you. You've been my patient. You trust me, but here's an unknown number. Holy shit. This is a new customer. Hey, Kimberly, can I call you right back? Boom. Thank you for calling Today's Dental. Who am I speaking with? Oh, this is Dave. What's going on, Dave? Well, I broke my tooth. Did you just move to Phoenix, or have you lived here 20 years? Yeah, the whole business side. I want my incoming call data going into my software. And then I called, when I was in MBA school, I actually called the online, the QuickBooks and talked to those guys. And I was telling them how I wanted to merge with that. And the guy said to me, he goes, dude, we have an entire department. That's all they do is link up that. We're hooked into every vertical. I mean, car dealerships, plumbers. That's what we do. And I say, well, who do you do that with, dentists? No one. And then I take his name and his number, and I take my time. I send it because I just want my dentist to be happy and healthy. They got they got divorce issue problems, they got drinking problems, they got stress problems, they got suicide problems, and so much of this leads back to I was trained as a dentist, and now I'm running a business. And I'll tell you what, when I came out with my 30-day dental MBA, the sales on that thing should have shown the market that the dentists care, because I sold $1 million worth of them, and I think it was in 1990. I think it was 1994, 1995. I mean, we couldn't believe the sales. I mean, it was $500 for 31-hour tapes, and we couldn't even keep the inventory. I mean, it was crazy. And now you can listen to those. They're free. They're on YouTube and iTunes. And
I want to know, in your opinion, why you think people are going to change if we added this to our software. People seem to be very stubborn about changing.
Well, that's a very good question. And in 2005, dentist income in America peaked at $219,000. 10 years later, it's $174,000. It's going down $3,500 a year. It's gone from $219,000 to $174,000. They get it. They've seen a decade of declining revenue, and they're starting. And everybody in the industry, from Patterson and Shine, is saying, "Well, you know what the solution is? Give me $150,000 for same-day crowns. Hey, you know that little $18 impression you're taking? Yeah, forget that. Replace it with a $30,000 optical impression scanner, where just the software updates each year will be $1,000, and then the HIPAA compliant. And oh, you know what? And you need a 3D X-ray machine. That's right. No more panels will work for you." So they're doubling down on you. They're like, dude, everything they've told you has taken you from 219 to 170. Everything they tell you means every year you make $35, so $100 a year less. So what will it take to get down to before dentists say, what the hell happened? Will it be $150,000 income a year? Did you really go to dental school to earn $150,000 a year? Will it be $100,000? Will you wake up one day and say, wow, I made $98,000 last year, and my brother, who's a plumber, made $102,000. I mean, how much money? And I'm out there. I mean, I lecture a lot. And by the way, it's not just here. In the last 4 months, me and Ryan have lectured in Tokyo, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Johannesburg, Soweto, London, Paris, Glasgow. They get around the world. Let me tell you how crazy it is in London, London, the UK, Paris, and France. All three of those countries, you know what they all have in common? The government insurance plan pays you $100 for a molar endo. Now, dentists aren't business people, but at $100, they say, I figure I'm not making any money on this. It's like, dude, in America, they get paid $600 to $800 if they're on a PPO, and $1,000 if they're not. You really think you're doing? And then you're in there saying, well, you know, this root canal is $1,000, but the file system I use is $5 a file, and I I use 5 files. I'm paying $25 just in files. And I say, well, you know, the Fortune 500, the average labor human cost of the Fortune 500 is 53 cents of every dollar, which is what it is in dentistry. The national overhead is 65%, so 35% is going to the doc, 25% going to the staff. Add it up, it's 55. So, dude, you're $25 of that $100 fee for a root canal in London, Paris, or Japan. That ain't your problem. Labor is. And after I pay your labor and those files, you're doing endo for free. Now, how many dentists want to do a molar root canal for free? I'd rather go out in the backyard and floss my rear with barbed wire than do a free molar root canal. I mean, it's like picking a log. When I get done pulling wisdom teeth, I'm like, I didn't even get warmed up. A filling, it's fun. You can talk to 3 people during the whole filling. But when you do a molar root canal, it's like Stevie Wonder picking a lock, and you're trying to keep all this in your brain, and when you're done, you just stand up like, wow, that hour was just exhausting. I don't know how endodontists do it. So the bottom line is that, you know, and you're welcome to come to Phoenix, Arizona, and I'll deliver you my whole team in the conference room. I'll make everything available, transparent. But you solve the incoming calls, and you merge this thing with QuickBooks Online. In fact, I use Peachtree because it's more sophisticated accounting, but QuickBooks Pro has pretty much adopted all the fancy software things that great Microsoft bought Great Plains Accounting for the mid-sized business because all the big companies are using that German software. What's the name of that German software? The Fortune 500, they use Elite, but Microsoft bought the mid-level, but QuickBooks Pro, everybody I'm talking to on QuickBooks Pro Online, you could pretty much run a $100 million company on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's an advantage that we're a small company and we're in control of it, because when a person like you says, here's where there's a huge need, we say, okay, we'll do it,
take a whole...
and it'll happen. It's that simple.
Yes.
So are you, Gabriel, are you the only programmer?
No, we have a team of programmers that works in the software. Actually, not a programmer at all. I do teach programming to kids, but that's not my expertise. I'm more of a design type of person. But we have a whole team that is dedicated to programming. And it's not just, you know, the way that we have created the software being created in the modern, you know, in web-based, it's not really web served. It's not served from the internet. It's served locally, but all of the connections are done through the web browser. So it's very easy to modify. It's very, you know, we're using MySQL. You know, we're using open source stuff. So it's very easy to
add and change things.
Exactly. And so, you know, all that we would need would be an API, and I'm sure that QuickBooks has an API, and, you know, go to town in adding those features. So
consider it done.
Well, I think that we do this podcast. We started on a thread under Practice Management Software. I think we should post this in a thread, and whenever you're ready, and start a discussion online. Yeah. And I think when I talk to, there's so many group practices now, because by the time you listen to all the supply companies and buy a $150,000 CAD/CAM machine, a $100,000 CBCT, and an $85,000 BioLace, well, I can't practice alone. I got to get 2 or 3. And this is what made physicians. There's 1 million physicians and 211,000 us. The 1 million physicians, by the time they bought all the ultrasound and the CAT scans and the MRIs, that was the end of solo dentists. And so I think it's ironic that so many dentists that badmouth corporate dentistry are the same ones telling everybody to buy all this expensive technology. And I think that if you started the thread and sit there, there's so many group practices, I think you could get a brain trust of group practices that might have just group practices that just have 3 or 4 locations. And I can, Dental Town can deliver all those to you. I know the names of all the major players in my head. And if you sat there and got it to where these guys could figure out their cost so they could evaluate insurance and they could evaluate incoming phone traffic so they can understand their marketing, holy moly. I'd almost trade you Dental Town for your company.
Well, that's, like I said, We decided it's going to happen, and we'll make it happen.
That's right.
So it's that simple. It'll happen.
And it's really interesting. I'm very glad that we had this conversation, because through the whole process of creating the software, we went to many conventions, and this was something that several people came to us and said, accounting. But I didn't understand what they meant. None of them. I remember we contacted one and said, come to our offices. Of course, we're little beans, so it's kind of hard to get in contact with people like that. And she never contacted us back. But the bottom line is, I wasn't understanding that what they meant by accounting wasn't so much what we do, which is, we track payments, we track, procedures and how much they cost and so on. But how much exactly is this procedure costing me, and how much profit am I making on it? Which makes sense.
Perfect sense.
To call Dentrix or EagleSoft practice management software would be like calling me a Chippendale. I mean, it's not even in the ballpark. And here's how a McDonald's, Long John Silver's, Kentucky Fried Chicken works. They say, okay, guys, it's 9 o'clock at night. We close at 12. Here's a pull coming up on your manager's screen. And by manager, I mean it's some 27-year-old punk-ass kid who's running a $3 million a year McDonald's. His numbers are delivered. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. You close at midnight. It's Wednesday. From 9 to midnight on Wednesdays, we're only going to do this much money. We want a 19% crew labor. You still got 3 cooks cooked in, and you have 3 receptionists. At this point, we're estimated that you're going to run a 28% labor. You need to send home a cook, and you need to send home a cashier. At the end of the day, hey, you sold 100 Coca-Colas, but you used 105 cups. So either you got some new kid on there that's forgetting to charge out the cups, or you got a staff member using cups when we tell them, you don't use the McDonald's cups. If you want Coke or a drink, use your own cup. And it's all practice management information. And Dentrix and Shine and Open Dental is everything but practice management information. And they call it practice management software. I mean, and this is what leads to dentists drinking, eating Vicodin, killing themselves, divorce. The spouses are fighting over money. I mean, the dentist comes home and tells the spouse, yeah, I did 5 root canals. I did 5 crowns today. And she's saying, wow, those are $1,000 a piece, $5,000. I think I'm going to run out tomorrow and buy a new car. And she doesn't know that. Well, that's your fee. But since 82% of your crowns on a PPO and the adjusted production is 600, you had to write 400 off every one of those crowns. And you don't realize that your overhead was $560 on each one of those crowns. So the spouse is thinking, damn, my husband's a millionaire. And the husband's coughing up blood clots and doesn't know if he can make payroll on Friday. And this leads to a bunch of disease. And my goal for my 4 boys and my homies is that they just be happy and healthy. I mean, I had a dentist tell me, he said, I'd rather frickin' do anything than do a root canal. I got, dude, there's 4,000 endodontists. Other people say, I don't like blood. Then go into Invisalign and sleep apnea. Some people sit there and say, like me personally, I can't believe I'm saying this. I got a granddaughter. I raised 4 kids. I don't like pedo. I don't want a screaming 3-year-old. I'd rather get a job at Taco Bell than be a pediatric dentist. I would hand it. If they said tomorrow morning, you're a full-time pediatric dentist, here's my license. And then I'm going to disconnect my phone number. They have pediatric dentists. I'm not going to do pedo. If you don't like blood, do Invisalign sleep. If you love blood, I also don't like cosmetic work because it's always these 40 to 50-year-old women. They're always divorced. And it's like, I mean, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not going to fix your self-esteem.
For that exact reason. I totally agree.
And it's so important, finding solutions. One of the things that drives us crazy in talking about having some programmers, it can't be done. I would go as a designer and I would say, this is what I want the software to do. It can't be done. It drives me crazy. For example, for us, we really don't like the screaming children. So we found this. What? We do sedation dentistry, and we have somebody come in every other month. Yeah. We line them all up. They're asleep. No screaming, no shouting, no, find a solution. Don't just simply say this is my only choice. No. Look
And you should be the company that does it because you're in Tennessee, home of Al Gore, who invented the internet.
It's true.
I also
So-
loved his Nobel Prize for environmentalism while he lived in a 25,000 square foot home and flew around the world in a jet, telling us to all walk and ride the bike.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I called you, you didn't call me, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you probably didn't know who.
Who are you going to give us to sit and talk with us?
What's that?
Who are you going to give us
Once
access
we're
to
Once we're
consult?
Well, I think we do this. I think we edit this video. We'll push it out. We push it out on Dental Town, iTunes, Google, Google Play, all that stuff, and then we start a thread. You guys start a thread on Dental Town, and they'll hear my rant. I mean, I butchered this whole interview by ranting about me because I don't really want. I don't know or care about all these little ancillary features that have nothing to do with whether or not this dentist is stressed out of his mind or not. And I don't think voice-activated perio is going to make my stressed-out friends happy. You know what I mean? That's not the issue. And then we start this discussion. We could you could get ramped up for this. At a townie meeting, we could have a user conference. And there's so many people. I mean, there's so many people you've never heard of that are genius people that own like 10 offices, like Jared Pope. There's guys you never heard of in Sioux Falls that own 13 offices. So you always hear of the Heartland with 1,500 offices and the Pacific Dental with 500 and Aspen. You always hear about the 35 corporate dental chains that have 50 offices or more. But what you don't ever hear about is all these little group practices in 1, 2, 3, 4 location, and they're just painfully aware of what's going on. We could start the lowest cost way to do this is on the message board. If you want to press the flesh, let's meet at the townie meeting. If you want to do something earlier, I'll block off any day, any year, any time to have you come down to Dental Town, and I'll bring you all the major players in my own backyard that are telling you what their poor wife has to do all day long while they're pulling their hair out trying to figure out their cost. It's the largest, and remember this. If you think this is the market in the richest country in the world with 211,000 dentists, you ain't seen nothing yet. America's only 5% of the earth. The dentists in France and England and Japan, they're starting to completely understand that when the government gives you $100 for your free Obamacare, there are strings attached. Yeah, you get free health care, but do you want a $100 root canal? The government doesn't even have any clue to how many dentists I spoke to at a bar that would never go on the record and say, no, I pulled a tooth. Because I can charge $1,000 for the implant. I save that tooth, I get 100 and I'll lose 100. So yeah, I just said, this tooth needs pulled in titanium. So that's what you call game theory. You set up the board 8x8 and you tell me these rules and it's checkers. Same damn board, same number of players, and you change rules, now it's chess. It's game theory. Every time there's an external threat that tells your business you have to do this, entrepreneurial minds just start working around all the loopholes and all the games. So $100 endo means that people get their molars pulled because intelligent dentists say, I can't do this. I can't do this for $300. I'm not going to shred 2 $100 bills for Mrs. Wimbledon, who's never brushed, never flossed, comes to the dentist every 4 years, and drives a $30,000 Honda Accord. And I'm supposed to go to 8 years of college and do free endo on her because you believe in Obamacare? What does free health care even mean? When Bernie Sanders is saying free health care, does that mean the government's going to come to my house, arrest me, and take me to a government dental facility and force me to work 12 hours a day? What does that mean? Oh, they're going to pay me money? Whose money? And how much am I going to get paid for that? I mean, so the bottom line is, don't even get me started. I'll blow a clot. But I'm telling you, I called you, you didn't call me. And in all honesty, everyone has shut me down. Or they give me lip service. Oh, we'll think about it. And then you hear their next upward of it. It's like, okay, dude, you already said in your own damn statement that 85% of your software is not even used. It's so overwhelming to the receptionist, you don't even know how it works.
It is. We had to, I remember hiring one person when we got Open Dental and taking 3 months for that person to feel comfortable with the software. And it was one of the reasons why we created our software. I sent my sister to train the girls over here, and I expected her to spend all day. She comes back about an hour and a half later and says they're trained. And that's what I wanted to create. You know, we can.
There's one way to do it, and it's the best way, and you don't need 50 ways to do it.
Exactly. So we can definitely bring that same kind of commitment to making things simple, to doing the accounting, and to understanding.
Keep it simple, stupid. I don't want 5,000 options. I want there to be a Hertz Rent-A-Car, Hyatt Regency. This is how we check you in. When I go check into a hotel room, I don't want to stand there for half a freaking hour. And then look at dental insurance companies. I mean, dental insurance companies, I still have to hire a human to call you and verify that this guy over here named Gabriel is really a patient. What is he? But you know, the iPhone, you know, Steve Jobs crammed the internet into a Motorola Nokia phone in 2008. Why aren't all dental insurances on an app? Why don't they just come in and say, oh, Gabriel, scan it into the computer, whatever, here's you, here's... No one's thinking about, you know, it's got to be faster, better, easier, and cheaper. And if it's not faster, easier, better, and cheaper, then whenever you tell me something that's going to be slower and more expensive, you're just helping millionaires like me. But if you want to help the poor, everything has to be faster, better, easier, and cheaper. And you're not.
That's how I've always run my practice. And if someone brought me anything new to show me, will it be quicker? Will it eliminate steps? And will it cost me less? And if it doesn't fulfill those options, I'm not even going to consider it.
Faster, better, easier, cheaper.
Yeah. If it's not going to do that, I'm not going to do it. I'll stick with my
But this is a frustration. You know, for me, we have gone to offices and shown this software and said, we're going to save you money, we're going to save you time, we're going to save you we were able to reduce our staff.
Better, and cheaper.
Yes, we are. And they said, no, but I have to learn something new. You know, I hate Dentrix, but I'm not willing to change because you guys are new. I mean,
and it's also groupthink because they ask all 5 of their friends at study club, what do you guys use? Well, Dentrix is the biggest one by a mile. So they all think, well, I'm making a good decision because Henry over there, he was a 4.0 student, and Lisa over there, she's a periodontist, and all the smart people I know are using Dentrix. So it's groupthink as a bunch of lemmings run off a cliff.
Yeah, it is.
It's been frustrating.
But you know what? You know what you got to remember? This is what you got to remember. You got Dentrix and Shine. It's Motorola and Nokia. They own the market. And this crazy boy who dropped out of college and smoked a lot of weed and bragged that he dropped acid said, well, you know, I think your phone sucks. I'm going to make an iPhone. Everybody's like, no, you're an idiot. You're an egomaniac. You got a Macintosh. Stay there. Stay in your space. You could never compete with Motorola and Nokia. And what did that little pop smoking, acid dropping little hippie who dropped out of school after one lecture, what did he do?
Did it anyways.
He buried him alive. And you could do that to Dentrix and Shine because they absolutely refuse to give one rat's rear iota about the fact that the dentists have lost $45,000 a year income over the last decade, and they're still just showing up trying to sell you a bunch of higher cost ways to do stuff. And then who would have guessed out of Tennessee, the land of Al Gore, delivers the internet again? We'll call your company Al Gore Part 2.
Awesome. I've actually met him before.
Did you really?
What was he like? What was he like? I actually got to in case Al Gore is listening to this, it's probably a far better chance that 3 tooth fairies are listening than him, but he did massively help the addition of the internet. He did get Congress to pass money to spend a lot of money on this new developing deal. He should have never said he invented the internet, but he should have said he was the first one to discover it in the Congress, and he did a lot of stuff for it. And if you're and as far as that, when he's always whining about the Florida vote, it's like, dude, you didn't win your home state. If you would have won your home state, you would have been the president. They all grew up with you and lived their whole life with you, and you didn't win them. So don't be blaming this on Florida. But I'm telling you, I I'm old. I got 4 raised kids. I got a grandpa. I'm a grandpa. I got little Taylor Marie. She's 4, coming up on 5, and you know, I've arrived. I've done it. My dental office is 29 years old. I've reached all my dreams. I want to leave this playground better than when I found it, and I want my homies, my children, my granddaughter to be happy and healthy. And I think one of the biggest reasons of why they're not happy and they're not healthy is because they're trying to do everything right, and they're losing money, and their overhead's going up, and they're losing more money, and it's gone from 219 to 174, and they're scared. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse until, I mean, your number one cost is labor. Why the hell do your staff not clock in and clock out on your management information software? That's your number one cost. Oh, well, you can get a payroll service to do that. Really? Well, now I need to send my information to the accountant. Can you print out a balance sheet, a statement of income, a statement of cash flow, shit that was invented in Venice 1,000 years ago? Oh, no, you don't need that. You can hire some CPA to do that. What are you here for? Well, I want my monthly check for supplies. Great, jump on Dentrix and generate it. Oh, it doesn't do any of that shit. You need to have another checkbook or some other, or don't you have some other software? I mean, you go into any other business in the world, all that stuff is in one box, except for healthcare and government. It's like when I go to the Department of Vehicles, I'll say, what's your name? Howard Farran, F-A-R-R-A-N. Okay, what is your address? What do you mean, what is my address? I've been a citizen for 53 freaking years in your country. You don't know where the shit I live? Can I stop paying $1 million a year in taxes since you don't even know where I live? You should, I mean, it's just batshit crazy. Then the government says, well, why do we have 3 million employees? Maybe because you're completely insane.
The other part that amazes me of dentists is when I go to see one of these guys and they have put out a whole hour for like a 2-surface filling. You know, I only schedule every hour. What the heck? How are you turning a profit? You know, this is not how life works. You have to do what it, you know.
But,
you were mentioning,
here's my defense of my homies. I mean, I went to school with these guys. I mean, I went to Creighton. And, you know, just a few of them get accepted to medical school, dental school, law school. These guys got A's in math and calculus and trig and geometry, and applied math is physics. They ace that. Applied physics is chemistry. They ace that. Applied chemistry is biology. They ace that. Applied biology is dentistry. These are smart. I lay down any scientific problem in front of them or business problem data. Whenever I lay the data in front of them, they always get it right. My homies are in any country on earth are in the top 1% in years of education and usually in the top 5% of income. These ain't dumb people. These are really, really smart people, but they've never had a franchisees. Their mothership, the ADA, is a non-profit. You know you're in trouble when your leader is a non-profit. And then Shine and Patterson, they just want to sell you more shit every year. They have no incentive. And you would think that they would have the best incentive because if I was selling to 100 customers, I would think if they had a really rocking, hot, growing, successful, profitable business, that's better customers. I can't believe they don't get that. I need to talk to him. But hey, that's our hour. I'm so sorry. I can already see the emails. You know, I tacked during the whole interview. I didn't let my guests talk. I'm an idiot. My own mother told me when I was 10 years old, she looked at me one time. My own mother looked at me and she said, Howie, if I taped your mouth shut, you'd fart to death. And so I'm sorry I farted to death during this whole deal. But in all honesty, every time I've gone to this well of a company that writes software, the well's always been empty. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever changes. I've been requesting this for 29 years because my father owned 9 Sonic drive-ins. And when I was 10 years old, so proud working for my dad, he had a little, you guys probably don't even remember this company, National Cash Registers, NCR. It was just the cash register. It had more business data than anything I've got in my dental office 40 years later, and it was a cash register. If they delivered a box of 100 patties, you entered it in there. You entered your stat. Everything was entered in the cash register, and it had this little white roll of tape. And you'd hit a deal, and it'd print out your numbers on a piece of tape. And here it is, 45 years later, I got a freaking iPhone. And I don't have anything my old man had, and that's why my old man had 9 restaurants and I have 1, because he had a practice management software system in a damn national cash register, which IBM eventually absorbed later as they were rolling into their business consulting services. And so I did all the talking because seriously, everybody I've ever gone to shut me down, but they have no idea the power of Dentaltown, social media, podcasting, and you deliver this. By God, you'll be the iPhone, and Dentrix will be Nokia, and Eaglesoft will be Motorola, and by God, you'll see me dancing on the roof of my own house naked with a bottle of Jack Daniels when that happens.
I could have lived without that last one, but
yeah.
Well, just so you know, we are listening.
Yes.
So it'll happen. We are certainly not like the competition.
And now that I understand it better, this is something that we can do. I mean, it's just, and that's the part that is amazing. It's really that simple. I mean,
yeah, it's not that complicated as long as you understand what it is.
Manage your inventory, manage your time and how much your employees are getting paid, and compare that to how much each procedure is costing.
Well, my book, Uncomplicate Business, which is in the top-selling book in dentistry, you only manage 3 things: people, time, and money. Dentists will sit there and try to save money on supplies. Supplies is 4 to 6% of cost. Labor is 25 to 28. I mean, what's 28 divided by 6? I mean, if you're not getting your labor right, who the hell cares what the electric bill is, the water bill, and how much you paid for impression material? That's not even a rounding error. I mean, when I go into a dental office and I see a lockbox over the thermostat, and you got some little 18-year-old girl that weighs 100 pounds next to mama who's in menopause, and one's sweating and one's freezing, it's like, really? You locked up the thermostat? How much money did you make off that crown? No idea. That's what you should worry about, not the thermostat.
Yep.
What we do in our office, we put all the people in menopause in one part and all the young people in another part. And
give them separate controls?
Yeah, that way one part.
I just put the thermostat where I want it, and everyone else has to put a sweater on.
Well, hey, I'm sorry if I did all the talking, but I tell you this. You come to Phoenix. I mean, we don't have to do it in Phoenix. You can Skype with my comptroller, my Stacy, my office manager. You can come down here. We could do all this on the message boards under a thread. We could put together a private group of just group practice people or just dental consultants. Could you imagine if you had all these dental consultants all recommending your software because it did everything? They would love to be able to, when you called their office, put you on a system where they could dial in and go back and look at all the consultants I've talked to on my podcast. I've done so many practice management consultants because I know that's where their pain is. And so many of them, we've had this discussion, and they just sit there and say, I know, it's horrible. It's horrible, So, okay, I'm done psychobabbling.
Nice talking to you.
Okay, and next time I talk to you guys, I want Amy to have a correct last name. I want her to quit pretending she's Polish.
Yeah,
what's your new last name going to be, Amy?
I am keeping my last name as it is. You'll just have to deal with it.
I really think that you should be Amy Kickass.
Amy Kickass. Okay, guys. Thanks for spending an hour with